Hey everybody, welcome to Discussing Tabletop. Greetings, and I hope you're having a grand Saturday. It is, of course, Saturday, August the 3rd, 2019. This is our 123rd episode. Jeez, been doing this for quite a while, haven't we?
Back in our episodes.
I know, really. Anyway, as usual, joining me, of course, is my illustrious co-host, Joe. Why don't we just dive into it, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about today, because Gen Con. A lot of the announcements that we're going to talk about today are based off of things that are either pre-Gen Con or Gen Con itself. So our docket will, in fact, include talking about Pathfinder 2.0 released, which it came out at Gen Con. Then, of course, to match with that, the first adventure path has gotten its free player's guide out, Age of Ashes. Then we've got Cmon Games has announced Zombicide 2nd Edition. Ticket to Ride is getting a 15th Anniversary Edition. Arkham Horror is getting Arkham Horror Final Hour, announced by Fantasy Flight. And then, of course, we do have Ankh, a board game announced by Cmon Games before we hit our regular segments, for those of you who are stick around for all those kind of things. But yeah, so we are not at Gen Con, if you haven't noticed here. I am not at Gen Con.
I'm not?
Joe is not at Gen
Damn
Con.
it!
I know. You thought you were going to teleport there all of a sudden. You'd be like, wow.
Hold on, I need a green screen real quick, and...
Quick, throw up the green screen, and then just have us be like in the background. Look, it's Gen Con. We're totally here. We're learning of things. And no, things didn't work out for. Joe, I don't think it was on your schedule at all. In my schedule,
I couldn't have done it now.
Yeah, my schedule didn't work out for trying to get there. It didn't end up being. Ended up being travel and place to stay weren't as secured as I would like them to. And within the price range for this year, at least. Anyway, yeah. But there are a lot of things that are coming out of there. And we're going to see if... I've got a couple people that I know are going to Gen Con. We're going to see if we can get one of them on next week to talk about what they saw, what they did, how the event went, just as a kind of like side reporter, special reporter. So we'll see if we can get that together. But in the meantime, though, I guess we should start with the major story for this week, especially for Gen Con here, Pathfinder 2.0. Again, not that other big releases haven't come out. There are other big games, like the next edition of Shadowrun, but we haven't heard as much from Gen Con about them as Paizo's talking. So that's why we're talking about Paizo's thing today. So, yeah, it's the formal release of Pathfinder 2.0. It's your chance to get it in stores, in their online shop, various online other retailers. The core rulebook is 640 pages. That's a hell of a thing.
Yeah. It's a big book.
Yeah. Now, granted, it's $60, but that's around the normal price for a book like that anyway. So for something that, like, I feel like I could just whack someone and, like, to just murder them. The old Pathfinder book was ridiculously sized, too. You know, like, it felt like you could just whack someone to death with it. And this seems ridiculous, more ridiculous. Of course, they also have their, bestiary out with 400 creatures. Let me see here. They have the first adventure, the first adventure of the first adventure, their new adventure path, Age of Ashes, which we'll talk about. That they have their. Why don't we combine them? You know, because that kind of leads into it here when we're talking about it a little bit. That Ashes, the Age of Ashes adventure path is coming out now. So we have did we have the end of the last adventure path, or was that coming out?
I think we had it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was coming out exactly now, or we just had it out, or something similar. But regardless, though, the other adventure paths are done. Now we have Age of Ashes popping in as the first of the second edition books. And, yeah, I mean, they're keeping it very simple for the information they're sending. It's basically, it's Hell Knight Hill. You know, the fires are burning on the top of the ruins of a citadel of Hell Knight Hill, and you're basically investigating it. Pretty simple for a first adventure, and I mean, the thing is, with how they have been, I feel like they could go any direction with that.
Yeah.
But, it's cool that they, you know, you can get the player's guide now, of course, for, I think it's free. Usually it is. Let me just check, just to make sure that I'm not like the second edition book. Yep, free. It's for free.
Nice.
It's got 9 new backgrounds which is kind of cool that they can use this actually now to add in a lot of things. Before, when they had the adventure pass, they usually had the traits, but now if you get like backgrounds, which are actually a part of your character at this point in time, that they can add them in a lot more of them each time with these. That actually is really interesting and expands upon the adventure pass, I feel, a lot more than the interesting traits we had previously.
Right.
Which some of those traits worked very well in their games. Others worked well anywhere, but broken. Like, it's like some of them were decent, some of them were decent only in their games, and then there were a couple that you're like, well, really, in all great idea of it, you can only use it in other games. So I like how they've refined things. I guess is the basics.
Yeah.
And just to finish up talking about the adventure path, these the player's guide to it. These are your suggestions: ancestries, classes, languages, lores, religions, alignments, all things that will work within the adventure path. It basically gives you like a whole throw out of all this information.
Yep.
So, but anyway, that is not the only thing that's come out now. That is like one of the big things. They do have a adventure for first level characters, The Fall of Plaguestone. It comes out. It has a flip map associated with it. They have some things already in their society play. I didn't even talk about the bestiary. But they have a 400 creature bestiary that they've thrown out, that is out there now.
Yeah, and they also announced that the PSFRD website is going to be hosting their Pathfinder 2.0 information as well, so you'll still be able to use that as a resource for your games.
Yeah,
which I think that that's really good news.
No, that's great. That's the thing, is the PSFRD has always been a really great source of information when it's come to Pathfinder. I know that it basically has put a lot of things together in one spot that maybe you don't always have all the books for. Granted, there always were slight changes because the PSFRD did take a step away from Pathfinder's Galarian setting directly, so it did make some certain things generic, but
right.
It still was great information for like some basic feats and stuff. A lot of interesting feats, and you could scour it for a lot of cool things. Granted, you could scour it for a lot of crazy things too, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Pathfinder having crazy things in it? Never.
Hey, yeah. Man, they certainly. That's Pathfinder of crazy things. Yeah, it's like you say that, and then you're like, yep, mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know. They kept some of the craziness from when a lot of them worked in 3.0 of D&D.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
And I think that's something that I have to say about what we've always said about second edition here, is that it did take a very good step back.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that was almost needed in a way. That they needed to step back from where they were to a little bit more reasonable. Like they're still trying to keep the essence of what made Pathfinder unique and what people enjoyed about it when it came to third edition, and keeping together what was in third edition alive that people liked, that was lost in fourth edition.
Right.
But I feel like they skirted a very tough line throughout all of the initial first edition of Pathfinder. This line that almost went too far towards the insanity we had seen previously in third edition, at the end of 3.5's life cycle. I'm sorry, I will always argue against Book of the Nine Swords that was just a line that should not have been crossed of insanity. And
okay.
And they did. I was gonna say, like, I think the joke of someone naming a like ridiculous class that he made, like one of our friends made a joke that like there's this class that's so ridiculous, it's like called like Clown Lord. You turn into a cockroach and do 100 damage. When you had a class in Book of the Nine Swords where you just did 100 damage, no dice, no anything special, just 100 damage.
Yeah.
It hinted at that insanity.
I think, though, when the game is around that long, it can build up a lot of weird extra stuff.
No, I agree. And not for Pathfinder not getting a bunch of weird stuff, too. They did. Like, I think there was like the apprentice kind of class that one of our friends found, and there were some other weird ones that existed out there. And I mean, they were their own balancing act, and there was a lot of like third party stuff which had questionable things, but third party I'm not even including into, because if we talk about third party D&D, there was some questionable stuff on that end too. But yeah, I feel like maybe the Pathfinder just kept it in check a little better, I think is what I'll say about it, in my opinion at least. And now with second edition, they're taking the best ideas from 4th and 5th editions of D&D and what they've learned from their own way of building things, and developing something that is definitely feels like it's a child of both 5th edition D&D and the original Pathfinder, but with its own voice. Like,
yeah,
it's the feat system is very interesting, where everything is boiled down to like feats, and it means that you can customize yourself in a lot of different ways by taking like different types of feats, like skill feats, class feats, race feats. So rather than like before where it was like, here's a list of traits and alternate traits that maybe you can replace them with, it's no, here's a list of racial feats that you can choose from. And each of these, you know, you get at certain levels and can develop yourself with like different abilities that you might have that, you know, replace your need to do all those racial feats before, or the skill feats before, or anything like that. And I think that is definitely a interesting turn that they've taken with it.
Yeah.
But
no, we've been testing it out, you know, off stream with a group of friends, and you know, now that we know that the PFSRD is going to be up and running, I think that's going to make the game experience a lot easier when we're trying to look up rules on the fly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the unfortunate thing that we we've been relying on the older edition of the playtest rules, and now, like, I think getting the book is something that probably some of us will at least do. I probably will get a copy of it. I might go physical copy. I don't know if I'll go physical copy or PDF. I haven't decided yet.
Right.
But I definitely would look into getting it. You
could also look to see if there's like a bundle pack or something.
That's true. That's very true. So, yeah, no. I'm looking forward to getting my hands more on it. From all of our experience with it, I like it. I always liked Pathfinder anyway. I think it's just like in the last couple of years with 5th edition, I took a step away from it, but it doesn't mean I didn't enjoy Pathfinder first edition. It was always fun. So I'm glad that now they have 2nd edition out, and I can dive a little deeper into that.
Agreed.
And of course, as I said, the adventure path is at least the player's guide, and the first one of the adventure path is out. So if you want to check out Age of Ashes player's guide, it's free PDF. You can get it on Paizo's website. So, and I think they usually have a print version of it, but I don't know if they will for these. That's a good question.
Right.
Not sure. But anyway.
No, it's great that they put the path, though, out at the same time.
No, that they got started with it. And I like the fact that they also threw out an individual adventure, that they're not just going straight for the paths, too. That we can see they've got more than just that. They've got 2 different adventures to choose from, basically. All right, we do have some more topics to handle, though, to hit into. So why don't we move on, though, for now, and let's talk a little about Zombicide. So,
yes. Yeah.
So, Zombicide's one of the cooperative zombie games that I have actually not had a chance to try. I don't know if you've had a chance. Have you, Joe?
No, I have not.
Yeah, so neither of us have really had a chance to, but I mean, I know of a bunch of these cooperative zombie fighting games. They've got plenty of them. And this is actually more of a classic, I guess you could say, because it's been out since 2012. That's an 8-year cycle for it, which isn't bad before you get a 2nd edition,
No.
It's long enough that I feel getting a refresh isn't a bad thing. You can still play with your original. I mean, usually these are different editions bring about changes to things, like definitely a good example, flux between the earlier editions and the later editions. Like the edition that you have and that I have creepers in them.
Yep.
Creepers were introduced after the original Flux came out, and I know our one friend has Flux without creepers because it's an older edition. And so the same could probably be said here. So it's basically, your survivors, zombies are controlled by the game, and you're trying to fight your way through different scenarios, so it's more of a scenario-based game. And they try for, similar to some of the D&D games, the missions are technically interconnected, even though we've never played one of those D&D games where we've interconnected the missions.
Right.
Just because, we don't have many chances just to play them over and over again.
Yeah.
But anyway, they've got new components, some new survivors, child survivors, they say to choose from, rather than just the adult survivors that they got, so some variety that way. Abomination zombies, a lot of things that, I'm assuming, because, again, not a true expert in here, that a lot of stuff that they put together previously, and now they're kind of throwing it all together in one spot, at least some of the stuff. Again, similar to Flux, where creepers were introduced in a later edition, or how, another good example is Arkham Horror just got the big new edition, where they changed things pretty drastically. They made a more organic board, that you sort of build your own board in that one. So these are very interesting things that you can make big changes. And so, if you've had Zombicide for a while and you want to try to get into this newer edition, it's a good time to. It's now just been announced. They're planning to do a Kickstarter for it. It's Cmon Games. They usually put a Kickstarter up of these things. So if you're a big fan of Zombicide or of zombie survival games, especially cooperative ones, it might be for you to check out. They work with Guillotine Games and Cmon work together for this one. Which
it looks really interesting.
Yeah, no. It's definitely one of those ones that I think we've randomly had sort of in the wheelhouse to do, but haven't.
Yeah.
Just because usually, unfortunately, when games take too long, we just don't do them on Sundays, and I just haven't dedicated a time randomly that we can do longer games. So.
Right.
Anyway. Yep. But the second edition of Zombicide, it's gonna be coming to Kickstarter soon, so keep an eye out for it if you're a big fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, we've done some of those zombie type games, and they are a lot of fun. So yeah. I'd be interested in seeing this one a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I think we did Dead Winter last time we did one of them.
Yeah,
I know there's 3 or 4 other ones that are out there that are different mechanics, but same theme of group surviving. I think Dead of Winter is a little bit more base building survival, and I think some of the other ones are there's some exploration and survivals in ones like this, and this one sounds more fight your way out survival. But anyway,
yeah.
So yeah, Zombicide coming Kickstarter soon. Yeah, let's talk about another Arkham horror game, because guess what? Fantasy Flight.
We don't have enough of them.
I don't know. That's an interesting statement about it because, yeah, I know there's a lot of the Arkham horror type games in the same wheelhouse. I mean, we have the original Arkham horror, of course. That's definitely one that you would mention, which has got the new edition. Then you got things like Eldritch Horror, which is a similar type of game, but I'm not sure the differences between Eldritch Horror and the Arkham Horror. Mansions of Madness, which is normally a one versus all, or app versus all game. So it requires a lot more control than just the random board does of normal Arkham Horror. And then I'm forgetting it. No, was it Eldritch Horror is the dice-based one, and there's a couple of them. There's the dice-based one that we've played on Sundays at Tabletop too.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I can't think of.
I don't know if that is Eldritch Horror or if it's the other one, and the names are all very
similar.
That's the unfortunate thing. Even though a lot of times when you look at the nature of how these games are played, they are different, and that's great. If I take the example of 3 of them that I mentioned, Arkham Horror is a very long game. The original Arkham Horror. I'm not sure if the new edition has tapered down the time much. The dice-based one is a very fun game. It is shorter, but it's still a relatively long game. But it's a dice-based game, and it's very different. And then the Mansions of Madness is also very different the way that you play it. So I'm not saying that great, they have a new one that's hopefully played differently, but it's in the same wheelhouse too. And now they're directly calling it Arkham Horror Final Hour.
Right.
Arkham Horror is very tiny, but still. So for this one, it's cooperative. Most of the Arkham games are cooperative anyway, so it's this is meant to be fast-paced, which is the only thing about this that I think really stands out to me, because they're planning to keep a game under 60 minutes. Which, this would be the first Arkham game that I have played, personally, of the 3 that I have had experience with, that
would be that quick?
That's guaranteed to be that quick. Eldritch, I think it is Eldritch Horror, and it's a different one for the other one. I'm not sure. God, yeah. Now I've got to look that up if it is Eldracar. No, Eldracar's the other one. Hard dice game. No, that's not going to find it. Anyway, I can't find the name of it. It's not Eldracar. It's...
Keep talking. I'll try to. I think. Oh no, I don't have it in my tabletop thing.
I do have it in my tabletop, so I could probably find it quickly if I went to that. But anyway, but right. No, that one on a good day, on a very good day, I can see it maybe taking an hour. Yeah. But most times, no, not at all. And so to have that maybe not a guarantee, but them attempting to hit up that amount of time, that definitely pushes me to say okay, I'm more interested, because it's easier to get into. As much as I do like Arkham Horror, I will not argue against playing Arkham Horror. It is just a beast to play, unfortunately. Yeah. And so the amount of times that I've been able to sit down and be like, hey, let's play Arkham Horror, not that many.
Right.
So yeah, so that's the first thing. It's basically, and those times monsters are sweeping about the Mysticronic University campus, you must hold them back with certain rituals components needed to put an end to the insanity. So I think it's going to be a more combat heavy one, I guess, in a way, because it's focusing on trying to hold back a rising tide of creatures,
right,
long enough. And it's cooperation against you. Yeah. And you have... It's time-based, too, so you have 8 rounds which to accomplish your task, each divided into 2 parts. You must defeat monsters, uncover clues. Once your players have... basically... Then you kind of have to make sure the Ancient One is kept in its place. So you do have very little time to get all of it done, but if you can... And I guess that's another way to limit it, is giving you a time limit, actually.
True.
It's probably not a bad idea. Elder Sign! Found it!
Elder Sign, yes.
Elder Sign.
Good job.
Yes. Which Elder Sign I like a lot, but it usually plays at least an hour, if not hour and a half to 2 hours, I feel like is its speed of a game. There's a lot here that I think for final hour that I feel like you need to play to understand. They go over some basics on Fantasy Flight's site to talk about it, but
right.
Definitely the card components and the nature of how the game plays, I would want to see a rules copy or just an actual copy of the game to kind of fully get it. But that's just figuring it out most of the time and getting into it. But again, seems interesting because it is a smaller Arkham based game. So definitely it interests me more. So
right.
Yeah. But it's been announced. I think they're coming out with it. Let me just check here. Quick information. 4th quarter this year. So expect it in the last couple of months of this year. Probably by PAX Unplugged. It should be able to be noticeable. So,
cool.
Yeah. Definitely keep an eye out for it if you're interested in that one. Alright. Let's continue our talk, though, because we have a couple more topics to talk about. I want to talk about, of course, Ticket to Ride 15th anniversary. Unfortunately, it's really hard to find some basic information about this one. So I'm sorry if, Joe, you had some trouble trolling out stuff on it. It was basically like, Days of Wonder's site doesn't talk about it really.
Right.
Only unfortunate thing I have to say. So it's basically I've had to rely on like things like Board Game Geeks and stuff that talks about it, or like some of the other article places or places where they're talking about like selling it. So yeah, so it's the 15th anniversary of Ticket to Ride, which is kind of cool actually. I didn't know that it's that old at this point. The thing is, like, when I think of old board games that are like the new classics, I think of things like Settlers, because Settlers is like late 90s, I thought. It's been around since, you know. But Ticket to Ride's actually pretty old too, kind of impressively.
Oh yeah, Ticket to Ride has been around a long time.
Yeah. So the anniversary edition, I mean, it's not anything like super special. They're not reinventing the wheel. What they're doing is they're just keeping it simple. It's the classic US board. It's got its own set of special trains, which are kind of like a clear, almost crystalline plastic. They kind of look neat if you... I can probably get that image. I don't have the image that shows the actual pieces, unfortunately. That one was hard to find and get so that I could show to everybody. But I can show the box, at least. Sorry about that. That took a second.
I'm going to have to walk away for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll continue talking about this then.
Yep.
Now that's a little off. There we go. Anyway, the Through Plastic Trains, a 4-page retrospective booklet on the history and creation of the game, a special theme designed to celebrate the occasional covers, the game's box, like a lot of things like that. So it's a map board, 240 clear plastic trains, 110 train card cards, the 30 destination tickets, summary card, wooden scoring markers, the rules booklet, retrospective booklet, all for a suggested refill price of $50 American, which is right around the price that Ticket to Ride normally goes for. Now, if you don't know about Ticket to Ride, basics about it, it's a 2 to 5 player game. It's all about basically creating train routes, 30 to 60 minutes they estimate for the game to play it, and this is all the same. The basic Ticket to Ride was fairly simple. It's America. You get a number of train routes that it says, hey, complete these. That's the basic goal of it. Is you have to complete these train routes. You have to go from point A to point B with your trains, and it requires you to collect cards to do that. Cards that match the colors of the routes that you want to build. Like if it's a route that requires 4 white trains, you need 4 white cards to build it. On your turn, you can do things to take cards, you can place down routes, or you can take new route cards if you've completed all yours with the hopes of getting more routes done and creating like a network, getting more points, etc., etc. But you have to remember, if you don't finish a route, you lose points to it. Basics. We played Ticket to Ride on Sundays at Tabletop before, so if you want to check that out, I'd recommend looking that up. It's definitely a really fun game. I think we've done both normal and Europe, I believe. I would have to check that quickly. Yeah, we've done both normal and Europe. We've done normal twice and Europe once.
Yes.
On Sundays. But probably should try one of the other Ticket to Rides, maybe if there's one for a Sunday sometime. But anyway, because they got some other unique ones. But no, the anniversary edition, it looks neat. It's the right. If you haven't gotten normal Ticket to Ride, it's right around the price of normal Ticket to Ride, $50. And for how cool looking the plastic pieces are, I mean, I definitely could recommend checking it out.
Yeah. Well, Ticket to Ride is always an awesome game to play.
It's true. It's always a fun one. But anyway, so yeah, that is coming soon. I don't know how soon it's coming. Unfortunately, I'm trying to figure out its release date, and I'm unable to. Sometime this month. There you go. That's the best I did. That's the estimated release date. I found a place that's got it up for sale on there. They estimate sometime this month. There you go. Boom. When this month? I wish that Days of Wonder would have thrown some information up on their website. Basically, let me put it that way. I have to rely on other sites. I had to rely on, like, I saw, like, an announcement on this, and it was like, oh, great, that's really cool. You couldn't have talked about it on your stuff very easily. They might have it up on their Twitter. I didn't check their Twitter this week. I check most people's Twitters once every other couple of weeks, just because that takes forever to go through in comparison normally when I make my docket of things. And if we are pretty busy, already got topics. But anyway.
Right.
So yeah, Ticket to Ride, the anniversary edition. It's going to come out this month to mark, 15 years of an awesome game. And if you don't have a copy of the original, hey, check it out. It's really worth it. It's a really fun game. There's a little girl screaming in the background because she got startled. Stream niece got startled at some point in time and hit a little yelp. Hey, we got one more main topic to hit up on, though. Ankh. So this is a game announced by Cmon Games.
Come on.
So, again, I don't know much about Blood Rage or Rising Sun. If you know those names, the designer of those is the one who put together Ankh. You play as an ancient Egyptian god, and you're basically, like, competing to survive when your society begins to forget that you exist. So very much so like the one Aberrant game that was played, that we did. Where we're ancient gods in a modern world trying to, like, stay alive without followers. Of course, the Ankh is a symbol of life. The gods fight for it. You build caravans, summon monsters, convert followers, and try to reign supreme. It's got miniatures, so, deities, monsters, people of ancient Egypt. It's, a very interesting combination of factors to this game. It's a 2 to 5 player game, and they are, again, it's Cmon Games, so they're announcing that they're going to do a Kickstarter for it first, too. As we said before, they do a lot of Kickstarter stuff for their products. So
right.
They haven't given an exact date for when they are kickstarting it, but they're saying before the end of the year. So we'll probably see it up on Kickstarter by, I don't know, PAX Unplugged, we'll say. Definitely. I'll try to have us mention when some of these things go up on Kickstarter. It's sometimes you miss some of these things going up on Kickstarter, unfortunately, so I'll try to keep in line with when they go up and let people know about it. It was interesting that they're basically talking about how, they got together some of their very good people who have worked on a bunch of their top tier games and are kind of putting them together for this one. Also, their artist that works a lot of their illustration is known for some of the stuff that he did on Warhammer 40K line and Magic the Gathering. So he's done some Adrian Smith, which, God, I can look that up quickly for artists. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Adrian Smith, who did stuff for the original Portal, and it looks like some older cards. He basically stuff it looks like some of the. He's done some stuff. It
definitely has a Magic the Gathering kind of art look to it. That's.
I mean, again, I was gonna say he's done some recent stuff. I think that looks like New Phyrexia was the last one I can quickly see that he's done some art for, which is pretty recent. So yeah. he's gotten a mixture of ages of cards from. But no, yeah, he's an artist that definitely, if you like to see some of his stuff from those cards, you'd be like, oh, cool, and yeah. So he's also helped out with Cmon Games for other things, and They're bringing together their creative team of the artist, the miniature worker, and the guy that designs these things. And so this looks like it will be a very cool game. Probably a top tier, probably a game people will really like. You know?
Right.
It's along the lines of Cmon Games' popular titles, basically, is that we're saying, like, they're doing something that has the pedigree for it, for 2 to 5 players. Whether or not it's successful in that pedigree, who knows? We'll have to find out. Anything else you want to add about Ankh?
No, the artwork looks amazing on it.
That's true. The artwork does really look cool. They do have definitely... It's a good Egyptian feel, but I feel like it's doing its own thing in a way. Like, it's not just... It feels Egyptian, but, like... I don't know. It's, like, hard to describe. It's as if they're doing their own interpretation of Egyptian, I guess is the way to say it. And it looks really cool with that. So... hey, you know what? We got some regular segments to talk about. We don't have a deeper discussion right now, unfortunate. But you know what we can talk about? Some Kickstarters. Joe, do you have a Kickstarter for us today?
I have 2 that are just light mentions. Nothing that I want. I couldn't find anything really interesting to go in depth about.
Okay.
But there is a new Fiasco.
Ooh.
Which I thought you would like me to bring up since I found it. Because I know you love Fiasco.
I do love Fiasco. It's a weird mix of when it, like, works and doesn't work, unfortunately. But I like it when it works a lot.
And I didn't realize I hadn't been in chat this whole time. Because I rarely actually look at that screen while we're doing stuff.
A card-based version of Fiasco. That's interesting.
They are 31 days to go. They already have beaten their goal of 10,000. They're at 44,000, not 595.
I mean,
so I think they made their goal.
It's Fiasco.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like saying, like, will they meet their goal? It's like, you kind of have to shake your head and go, like, it's Fiasco. It's one of those ones that, for those of you out there with us that don't know about Fiasco, Fiasco is effectively a one-session RPG. That's the best way to describe it without going into too depth. It's based on a number of dice rolls that each player basically takes and uses to create elements of a character, but that character relates those elements to their neighbors in a way. So you're connected to the people around you, and you create a network of connections with them while you're sitting around the table, and you use that network to build a game around a theme. And I feel, unfortunately, Fiasco is really good at themes that are very talkative. Every time I have played using the fantasy theme for Fiasco, it's gone wrong. To a degree. Some degrees worse than others. I've done the fantasy version twice. Once was meh, and the other was just using the fantasy setting. Twice I've used it with the modern settings, and it's gone wonderful. So that's what I can say about that. When you're in a setting where you're not worrying about, like, adventuring or fighting a dragon or something like that, that in a game where there's 0 dice rolls and there's not a character sheet, why the hell are you getting into a setting where you might have to worry about that? Just saying. But anyway, back to you, since you're talking about Fiasco.
Yeah. Well,
I soapboxed for a minute there.
Yeah, no, that's fine. This one is a card-based game. You can get the base game. Let's see. $10.
That's nice.
You get the pre-release playtest draft, final digital edition. So if you want the actual final, if you actually want the boxed edition when it comes out, it's $30.
Okay.
Which is fair enough, you know.
Yeah. Depending on the size of the card game, you know, like something like Cards Against Humanity, which has a lot of cards, 30, like 25, 30, or like, you know, like Munchkin. It's got a pretty decent number of cards, 25, 30 for like one of those kind of things. I can see it.
Agreed. So, I mean, looks really good. They've made their goals, so you know it's definitely going to come out.
Yeah.
And you know it's updated that you actually you have cards, which is neat. You got object, relationship, need, and location cards.
So basically, they're going along the different aspects you build a character with in Fiasco normally.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Sounds fun.
Oh, and then the other one is just a real brief mention just because it has been such a stupid thing on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
They have come out with Raid Area 51, the game.
Of course they have.
It's only made $41 out of its $3,000 goal. It does have 27 days to go, but I just had to mention its pure insane existence.
Yeah, I can see that then. Oh boy, that's yeah.
That's all I have. I like I said, just because it exists, I had to mention it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I have one I do want to talk a little about here. Let me throw it up in chat. It's Maganomian. Okay. Maganomia. Maganomia. Wow.
That's what she told me.
It's Wizards. It's a magical RPG, but it's Renaissance Europe. So, it's definitely a very different setting. We don't get a lot of Renaissance sort of fantasy. Which is kind of weird to say, because, like, you're saying, like, oh, that's very close to your traditional fantasy. No, traditional fantasy is very medieval. Very Dark Ages, very, sword and sorcery. When you go Renaissance, the gun shows up in regular amounts. So, you're changing things greatly. You're getting a lot of developments, the printing press and stuff like that. So it's a fantasy role-playing game. It's meant to be 16th century, so very early Renaissance, but still enough to make it interesting. You play a wizard. There's traditional kind of spellcasting. There's 5 different styles of magic. It's going to be based on basically European folklore. It's meant to blend that kind of history of what was going on at the time with myth. Yeah, it has 21 days to go. It's about a third of the way to their goal. Actually, third to fourth, so kind of in between there. So they've definitely got a ways to go before they hit their goal.
Yeah, that is pronounced weird.
Maganomia.
I was thinking, could it be Magonomia?
Maybe.
Like mage,
yeah.
But even so, that still sounds...
Yeah. They use the Fate Core system, which we've talked a little bit about here on it. I don't think we
haven't really experienced it
very much, so we haven't dived into it as much. For $25, you get the PDF, and for $50, you get the PDF and the hardcover, and all the stretch goals. Which, I mean, they do have plans for stretch goals, but again, since they haven't funded it yet, haven't got to it yet, at least.
Right.
Yeah. They do have a starter rules PDF if you want to check that out. Up on Drive Through RPG, just if you want to see for yourself what's going on with it. Yep. I think that's the basics of talking about it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and that's for my Kickstarter I want to talk about. How about our week in tabletop? Wow. There wasn't a lot this week. We did stuff.
No, unfortunately, Thursday's game got canceled.
We lost 2 players.
Yes.
If
One due to electrical issues.
Yes. One of our players lost electricity in the place he's positioned at. His comment was, when he's in Florida, when the hurricane knocked out power, he lost it for a week because of his location.
And he called it in that he lost power, and they said it would be 2 days before it would be up.
Yeah.
But the problem wasn't technically power, because he's like, I have a generator, but I don't have internet without anything.
Yeah, no. It's that the overall power grid being down meant no, internet, which was the problem. And he suggested talking off his phone, trying to do it off his phone, but, it would have been...
He can't see his character sheet, he can't roll or anything else, and...
Not that we couldn't have done it for him, but it would have been like a lot of extra steps that I think would have detracted from the game.
Yeah.
Too much. So I was just like, nah, let's just call it here with that one. We already had lost Rachel to Gen Con, which was a fine, acceptable thing.
Yeah.
We knew about that ahead of time. But yeah, losing a second person just spelled the death knell for the session at least. So we'll hopefully be back next week for that one. Legacies of Kain is on hiatus for a few more weeks. Theoretically, we should be back soon. Same with another D&D game, but unfortunately I haven't been able to announce it properly because I've got to reach one of the players who has been hard to reach, unfortunately. And if I don't get in contact with her, I can't confirm that we have everybody for the first session, so I can't put it on the schedule. Yeah, so that's that. And Sundays we did do a game. We did Settlers, and unfortunately the dice screwed 3 of us.
Oh yeah.
I don't think any of us had a particularly awful position overall. Maybe
I got boxed in.
You still could have made it do.
I still did some stuff, but that kind of hurt me off the bat because that's why I hate going first in that game.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I do think you probably should have set your second city out or settlement out from you,
But if you think about it, though, if 6s would have come up, I would have been in a great position because I had the 2-for-1 already.
But 6s were less common than some other stuff, yeah.
But 6s are supposed to be more common,
and
that's why I went where I did, because it made sense. Because 6 is supposed to be a common number. So it would allow me to actually, function properly.
Yeah, but it didn't.
Yeah. So that was the thing, was, on hindsight, yes, it would have been better to place it elsewhere. But in the moment, it made sense to go where I did because it would have been a common area to be able to get my 2-for-1 off. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is what it is. It happened.
Yep.
I figured, what did we play at my house last Saturday, though?
Oh, Jesus. Wasn't something quick and simple?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We did something. I remember showing up and playing games. And we did it for a little bit. It wasn't Flux. It wasn't the Cowboy one because we had done that. It was... We did Love Letter and Wicked Apples, the 2 I brought.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's correct. Oh. I'd forgotten totally about that.
Yes.
But yes, that was what we got. It was like, oh hey, yeah, wait a second. That's what we did. Love letter, because, you know, I felt like, you know, we haven't done it in a while, so I was like, hey, might as well. And then basically it was Wicked Apples, because I thought of it because I had the people on from Wicked Apples, from Just a Game.
Yes.
So I definitely wanted to talk about things because I had them on, and you know, they were nice people that unfortunately have a very they did not have almost a game, did not have a great returning in, like the interview I have up. It works sort of, you know, because I had to like replace like 12 minutes of conversation with 4 minutes of me monologuing of like, this is what I remember that they talked about. Because there's no decent sound. There you go. Sorry about this. But yes.
Yeah.
That was the thing. But no, Wicked Apples, always fun. I think I didn't win Love Letter. Who won the Love Letter? Was it you?
No, I think did Hana win it?
I
know we were all close.
We were all close, but I knew I didn't win that one because I think I did. We did 2 games of Wicked Apples, and I think I won one and lost one, I believe. I don't know. It's hard to remember. We were spread out in wins, I think.
Yeah.
God, I don't know. My brain has just been... It's been a fried brain kind of week.
Yeah, it's kind of been a long week.
Yeah. A lot of ups and downs thought-wise, and, you know, a lot of things to do, so hopefully schedule will be a little better next week, and we can, like, say that. I keep saying that, but who knows when it will actually be a great week of scheduling. Anyway. But yeah, I think that was it for our week. We did do some Pathfinder 2.0 on Monday, on which you guys were exploring the underground area where there was all these skeletons. You discovered this sunken tower, which it looks like it actually might have been a sunken tower, because it looks like the tower you were looking for, this was the below there, and you found a secret passage in, and you found that they were manufacturing some kind of like weird chemical, and using some facilities that were probably made for something else that they've corrupted to evil, kind of thing, you know, that usual sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was a fun session. I'm starting to get actual understanding of my character and how he functions.
The thing is, I think everybody's getting a little better at that. There are some characters that I have a little more complaints about. Like, I really have to say, like, one friend's character, the druid, is a little on edge just because he's a little silly.
Yeah, well...
I feel worry a little too much, but it hasn't been too bad. And he's balanced out, though, with our barbarian, our good friend James.
Who just runs into everything.
He runs into everything, and I was talking to him on Wednesday when we checked out a place that had the normal trivia, which, a big announcement, I mean, like, if you guys ever want to, and this is like a random announcement, it's not actually a big one, if you guys like trivia and want to theoretically play along, I sometimes go to Buzztime Trivia. Just look at your local place. I like it a lot, and this place was really great for having it. Food was more expensive than the last place we went to by a little bit, but not awful. So, it was around like an Applebee's price. So, that's not bad. But, I mean, it was a Buffalo Wild Wings, which I've never been to before. They had really good queso. I'm going to say that. Okay. It's a weird little comment to say, but I got their queso and wings, and it was really good queso.
Like, I just love the fact of, not their wings, but they're queso.
Okay, I did get some wings too, and the wings were very good.
I know, but it's just.
But okay.
I went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and their queso is amazing.
I got their garlic parmesan wings, which I like a good garlic parmesan wing, and it was good. But I'm sorry, the queso was much better. It was they had like they had like a pico de gallo and like like some kind of like pepper in there along with like the cheese melt mixture. And so but
it just sounds funny when you.
It's really a weird like random thing. No, I agree. It's definitely a sideways conversation to go in the direction of, but yes, so that was my extra thing. It's a trivia. It's close to tabletop. There are tabletop trivia games, so it's adjacent. Yes. And it was a fun trivia game. So I think. There was a sports one, and I did surprisingly well at the sports one. I think I won, and I got like on their leaderboard for the month. I think I was like number 2 or something, or number 1. It was like, why? A lot of random guesses.
I would have expected James to have gotten that one.
He only knows football, really, and a couple of football and hockey. That's true, but like a lot of other random sports, I was just like, educated guess, which is not very educated. Wee points. Anyway, it was fun. But yeah. So I think that's it for today. That's it. Yeah. I think we hit all our normal things. If you have questions, message us. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to message us: Discord, Twitter, description of when it's up on YouTube, email. In chat if you're here, email for discussingtabletop@yahoo.com. Lots of ways to reach us. So just hit us up if you have any questions, and if we feel it's appropriate to bring here to the show, we will. Or if it's just one we can answer for you, we also will. We're always glad to help out when it comes to tabletop or nerd stuff. So, upcoming schedule. Next week we should be back. I'm going to see if one of our friends that went to Gen Con, that friend of the show, would be willing to pop on and join us next Saturday and talk about it. We'll see about that. Yes. At very least, we'll be back next week. We got a whole host of topics. We'll probably be talking about a bunch of stuff that was announced at Gen Con, the rest of the stuff that came out from it. And then, as for the rest of the schedule, tomorrow, Sunday's Tabletop, Joe and Blaze should be joining me this week, along with probably, hopefully, a few others. And then Madness should be back next week. Should be upcoming. And other stuff, stay tuned for announcements for that. I need all the two Tuesday games. Okay. Once they're stabilized. So. Yes. Anyway, yeah. Another great one. Thanks again, Joe, for always joining me.
Of course.
Thanks to all of you who came and joined us today. Remember to, stop by again next week. And, of course, have a great rest of your weekend and a great rest of your week. And we'll see you all here next time. Goodbye. Bye.